Good morning. My name is Annabelle Udo-O'Malley. I'm the Programs Manager for the American Institute of Architects, San Francisco. Thank you for joining us for today's program, Principles MasterClass. What does it mean to lead an architecture and design practice today? And what does it take to be a firm leader? Who is part of the team leading the firm? What are the leadership team roles? What processes and tools do we need? Well, we'll be joined by business consultant and leadership coach Elisabeth Sporer, who will answer these questions and get you into the mindset of success. First of all, we'd like to thank our AIA CIC 2022 sustaining benefactors and sustaining sponsors who help make programs like this possible throughout the year. Some quick Zoom housekeeping details. We will be gathering up questions during this program, so please feel free to start using the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen. We will do our best to consolidate common questions and provide responses throughout the conversation. The chat box is open, so please feel free to communicate amongst yourselves. We will also be broadcasting relevant resources and messages out to the audience. This program is being recorded, and a link will be circulated to all registrants when that information becomes available. Now, I'd like to introduce to you Elisabeth Sporer. Elisabeth.
Good morning, and thank you for joining me at today's Principles Masterclass, a presentation at AIA San Francisco. First of all, I want to thank the AIA San Francisco chapter, and in particular, Annabelle Udo O'Malley and Angela Chen for setting this event up. And special thanks go to event and brand strategist Lisa Bokuren, who worked with me on this event and helps me with my monthly newsletters. Today's event is structured in 7 parts. Part 1 is a host and event introduction. Part 2 dives into the why, how, what, and who of a firm's strategic planning. Part 3 highlights the why and what that means for leadership. Part 4 addresses the how, culture, and internal protocols. Part 5 dives into the what. We look at strategic planning and goals. In part 6, we look at the who, the teams and collaboration. And lastly, in part 7, we open up for Q&A. So let me introduce myself and give you some insight into my background. I work as an A&D business strategist, a management consultant, and a leadership coach. My path was shaped by 25 years or so working with over 40 A&D firms. As project and lead designer, as part of the management teams, and then the firm leadership teams, and since 5 years as an A&D business strategy consultant and owner of my own architecture firm. My approach working with clients combines business strategy with leadership coaching. Today's event continues the dialogue I started in 2018 with a series of presentations I am organizing to offer fresh perspectives on topics relevant to A&D practices. Some of these events are available on AIAU as recorded programs, so you can earn educational learning units. The 2021 Think Time Tuesday series offers a glance at my thinking about business strategy for A&D practices, and it's organized in the areas of brand, finances, operations, and design or practice. Other events are centered around topics like business strategy, ownership transition, entrepreneurship, mentorship, and international practice. Recordings of most events are available on my website's event page. So you can see the QR code on the left. My monthly newsletters offer insight into my thinking. So having answers to the big questions of why, how, what, and who is expected from an A&D firm leader. So let's look closer at what those questions mean. They define or can outline your business or strategic plan. The why is related to your mission. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the cause or purpose of the organization? The how is about your core values. How do you do what you do? Which core values matter to you? Many firms have switched to a culture-first approach, knowing that employee experience matters in today's competitive talent market. The what is about your strategic plan and goals. What do you do? What are the steps you take to make your goals happen? The who is about your action plan. Who is part of your implementation and who is part of your leadership team? So let's talk about leadership first. Before we even talk about your firm's mission and how to create a mission statement, it all starts with you. So the path to success starts with a winning mindset. Now, are we always in a winning mindset? No. However, we can learn to recover as quickly as possible when we are not in a winning or positive mindset. Knowing who you are and how you may behave is essential to the skill of being and getting into a positive mindset. When we think about leadership, we have a leadership team in mind. The red cape leader of the 20th century is gone. What comes with it is a change in how we approach team leadership. Instead of managing people, we inspire others to enable success, which means that productivity through fear is replaced by an effectiveness sparked by inspiration. This allows extrinsic pressure to make space for intrinsic motivation. So we don't look at peers as competitors, we look at them as collaborators. We shift from talking about the future of work to creating the work of now. Salesforce's Mark Benioff asked his staff of 73,000 at this year's Dreamforce conference to do more of what makes them happy and less of what makes them unhappy, but still get the work done, of course. So having gone through the pandemic, this company shifted the approach to listen more carefully to its staff. I believe, contrary to the thinking of emotional intelligence, that you can only know yourself. You know how you think and how you feel. You do not know or can learn to know how others think and feel. You can, however, offer empathy and openness to others so they may share how they think and feel. Now, being able to act and respond quickly in any situation is a trademark of a leader, and being able to read the room, so to say. And also knowing when to ask others what they think or how they feel. I am trained in New Venture West's coaching approach and incorporate some of the positive intelligent coaching methods, which I was also trained on, into my practice. So here you look at a diagram that shows 9 saboteurs plus a judge that, according to positive intelligence approach, can at any point take over your thinking, feeling, and your behavior. A saboteur, and also the judge, refers to an internalized voice, a voice as part of your personality that may create a dialogue in your head. So in a nutshell, the approach assumes that we all have these 10 voices going on in our head. And some of these voices are stronger than others, and that's depending on our upbringing and childhood or our adolescence experiences. However, the top 3 voices will most often interfere with our thought patterns and create a repetitive pattern, so to say. A personality test will show which of those 9 voices or saboteurs, as they are called in positive intelligence, will show up as the top 3. Each one of them has been instrumental to your life and success story, and at the same time affected your life in negative ways. So understanding the negative thoughts and emotions that may come up when the voices speak up, and then immediately interfering with them to stir your thoughts towards positive thought paths can be learned. Now, my test results show the restless, the controller, and the hyperachiever saboteurs as the top three, interfering with my behavior, thoughts, and emotions. So the restless seeks new things to do as they're excited. The hyperachiever seeks success and recognition, and the controller seeks independence and control over my work. Now combined, they keep me going, as these saboteurs are rather action-oriented voices. However, the restless may keep me from doing things that are not fun or that are simply repetitive. The hyperachiever may keep me from making connections that are not success-oriented or being dismissive of others' contributions. The controller may keep me from giving control easily to others in collaborative settings. Now, I learned to stop when the voices are not helpful and not give them the space to expand and to lead. An inner dialogue may be, just for game's sake, oh, thank you for your advice, but no, thank you. And there are other strategies, of course, possible. However, I will not go into the strategies of changing thought patterns on a positive path today. It would be too much for this presentation. Now let's look at A&D firms. In my experience, A&D firm leadership teams show as top saboteurs the profiles of the hyperachiever and of a stickler, both shown in orange. Also high up are the profiles of the controller, the pleaser, and the hyperrational. The hyperachiever always wants to be recognized for accomplishments. It may lead to a firm pursuing design awards and/or recognition within the peer environment. Not meeting high standards is not an option. Everybody is expected to push the envelope and go above and beyond, and may be criticized if and when not following that lead. The stickler always seeks the best outcome and has very high expectations related to quality. It may lead to a firm over-delivering to its clients without getting paid accordingly. It may lead to setting quality standards above and beyond what is considered industry standard. It may lead to not meeting deadlines. And it may also lead to criticism of others' work or approach as not being good enough. Again, the other profiles that are seen as dominant are the ones of the controller, pleaser, and hyperrational, less frequent though than the two as shown so far. The controller profile of a leadership group indicates that they are action-driven to make things happen. Decisions most often go through the leadership team down to the mundane topics. Staff feel safe. They are meant to execute only. Initiative is not wanted or rewarded. And at the same time, the leaders might state that nobody's working as hard as they do. The pleaser profile of a leadership group shows a great commitment to the community, most often internal as well as external. The firm may accommodate clients and staff's needs beyond of what most firms might do. Most likely, the firm is seen as a community leader. The firm, however, may not be financially as successful as a trade-off. The hyper-rational profile of a leadership group may show a team of thinkers, thought leaders, well known for their intellect. They may not be as loved or as much liked or loved as they appear aloof at times, and most likely prefer to hide behind a computer screen or in a private office if they have access to that. So what all these leadership profiles show is that we may get caught in a predictable thought pattern. And when we recognize and understand this pattern, we can learn to steer our thoughts patterns down a positive path. Most of all, we learn to recover quickly when a winning mindset is not at hand. Now, this brings us back to the big question of why. It is about your firm's mission. Why are you doing what you are doing? What is the cause or purpose of the organization? We already stated that you invest in finding and knowing who you are and what drives you to do what you do. A mission statement offers insight for others into what motivates you and insight into your firm's purpose. Here is a sample of what a mission statement should cover. A mission statement is defined as an action-based statement that declares the purpose of an organization and how they serve their customers. This sometimes includes a description of the company, what it does, and its objectives. A mission statement is a short summary of your company's purpose. So this is what you should, as a first step you would do as a firm leader or as part of a firm leadership, in particular when the firm leadership team expanded to include new members. So the big question, moving a level in of how, offers insight into your firm's culture and internal protocols. The how is about your firm's core values. How do you do what you do? Which core values matter to you? You offer insight into your personal choice of values and what the values mean to you. Why is it important to the company and what behavior you expect from others? When offering these core values to employees and clients, you provide answers to these questions. What does this value mean to you in terms of meaning? Why is this value important to your firm, the relevance? What is required from others, the mutuality in interaction? Here you see a list of 146 core values. So when working with leadership groups, I will engage them in an exercise to create a short list of their top 5 values out of these 146, and they can add actually more if they have other values that they prefer. And looking back at the saboteur profiles, I wondered whether there is a trend of values associated with each saboteur profile. Now here you can see a few of the trends I have observed. Values aligning with each saboteur profile's preference of behavior, thought, and emotion. Now, I just read down the 5 top ones that I mentioned that are prevalent in the A&D industry. The stickler associates often with excellence, ethics, equality, legacy, and order. The hyperachiever often gravitates to values of achievement, ambition, career recognition, and pride. The controller gravitates to its power, respect, courage, confidence, and independence. The pleaser gravitates to love, caring, empathy, kindness, and altruism. And the hyperachiever gravitates to its competence, commitment, efficiency, responsibility, and learning. Culture Amp, an employee experience platform, is on a mission to create a better world of work, believing that the most successful business leaders put their culture first. These culture-first companies understand that their competitive advantage is their employees, people with unique skills, diverse backgrounds, and needs. So taking a step back, the values collectively sourced as a shortlist by an A&D practices leadership team will set the tone for the firm's office culture. Offering explanations to what each value means to you, its relevance for the firm, and what is expected from others will allow others to understand what you mean when you talk about the culture of your firm. Now here we're looking at an example of a leadership team's values shortlist. There's achievement, ethics, gratitude, respect, and trust. The value respect means for them to have due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. In terms of relevance, they may say, we value each being for who they are. In mutuality, they may say, we expect being treated with respect. And these core values are very much accessible as statements to your employees in particular. So they send out a message to your employees how you conduct business internally. In my experience, A&D firm cultures fall in the 4 categories of entrepreneurial, competitive, hierarchical, and collaborative, or a combination of 2 of them. What I observed is that an entrepreneurial culture requires everybody to be good at everything. The competitive culture features and celebrates that only the best will win. The hierarchical culture honors the top-down decision-making process with roles and responsibilities defined, while the collaborative culture allows non-hierarchical ways of decision-making with flexibility of everybody's roles and responsibilities. Some flexibility, not complete flexibility. So I asked myself which saboteur profiles align with these four firm culture categories. What I observed is that each firm culture profile is aligned with 3 prevalent saboteur profiles. And what I mean with firm culture in this case, only in this case, is the leadership team's collectively sourced values that define the firm culture. So the entrepreneur firm's leadership team may show a collective profile of hyperachiever, stickler, and restless. The competitive firm's leadership team may show a collective profile of hyperachiever, controller, and stickler. The hierarchical firm's leadership team may show a collective profile of stickler, hyper-rational, and controller. And the collaborative firm's leadership team may show a collective profile of restless, stickler, and pleaser. As an individual, you have only control and impact on your own behavior. Knowing yourself and the entire leadership team's profile may help position yourself within that leadership team and at the same time improve communication amongst the leadership team members and the firm at large. Now, the how is about culture and also about how your firm is organized and what advancement paths you offer. The old paradigm or traditional career path of mastering a skill and then moving up is replaced by the new reality of individuals learning and adapting quickly to new challenges, in particular with technology, and all that in a non-linear fashion. So learning and adapting are the key words, as well as in a non-linear fashion. Less so the words mastering and expertise. So the traditional advancement in A&D firms occurred in chronological and incremental steps. You advance the level up when you master a specific step, a task, or a skill in a prescribed chronological order. Here you can see the senior project manager at the top end of the staff profile is right below the director and the leadership team. But you had to go through that project manager level to move up to the leadership team. Note also there is not a single administrative position listed. Today's A&D firm org chart suggests career paths to firm leadership that are not exclusively tied to technical skills or to licensure. Creativity and leadership can arise from all areas of the firm, and for that matter, paths to advancements are open to administrative and to design staff. So here you see the do level on the technical side on the left and the administrative side to the right. Creativity, most likely the technical staff track allows designers to advance to leadership without becoming a project manager, which is the traditional career path in the A&D industry. Here we look at the next level up called manage and support, and these are the directors or team leaders, not necessarily project managers. And then we look at inspire and get the work, the top level of the firm, and these are the partners, principals, senior associates, and associates. Providing detailed job descriptions tied to staff titles outlines criteria for advancement. Here we look at AIA's job titles that can be used as a starting point. These are, by the way, taken out of the compensation report that AIA publishes every other year, and they are available at the chapter offices, so you may get in touch with San Francisco chapter if you want to have access to it. If you participate in the survey, you get a free copy of it. Otherwise, you're expected to purchase it. But I understand there may be a way to get inside via the chapter to those chapter offices. No matter how you structure your firm's job descriptions and accompanying billing rate schedules, addressing when a staff is eligible for the next step up is a sign you give when making this information available. Things to address for each levels are the years of experience, the knowledge of the design process, the documentation process, the permitting process, the building technology, coordination process, the technology platforms, and of course, the managerial skills. So now we're zooming in another level into the big 4 W's, and we look at the what. The what is about your goals. What do you do? What are the steps you take to make your goals happen? A business or a strategic plan offers insight into goals for the next years to come. And here we look at the overall business plan of an A&D firm for the next 3 to 4 years that offers implementation details of goals within each area. When working with A&D firms, we look at 4 areas and who is doing what within each area. So brand is about who is getting the work. The practice level is about who is doing the work. The operations level is about who supports the team. And the finance is about who is managing the money. The leadership team overarches all, and its profile, as we found out earlier, has profound impact on the culture of the firm. So let's zoom in and look at the details of a strategic plan. In brand, we look at metrics of project and client pursuit within business development as well as marketing. Each year's goals are for metrics of growth and lists initiatives on how to get to those goals. And we check every year on all these tasks on the left or areas within the brand categories that we need to make some progress on. The Think Tank Tuesdays event series went through all 4 areas of a strategic plan, and the brand one is called Story Selling and the Freestyle Practice. Lisa Bokerian, as a guest presenter, offers insight into how once elusive sounding concepts, perhaps even taboo topics in A&D, brand and marketing have not only become part of the industry lexicon, but can also be key influencers, along with BD, business development, of a successful practice. How a combination of marketing, BD, and PR efforts make a firm's brand is showcased in case studies. So you can follow the QR code to find the presentation on my website. In practice or design, we may define the training and mentoring programs for staff. QA, QC, and design process may be defined or refined. Work planning tools and design guidelines, to name a few more topics, again listed on the left side here, also along with standards and design culture. The practice-related TTT or Think Tank Tuesday event is called The Art of Collaboration and Getting Things Done, Unpacking Culture, and provides an overview of what a firm leader needs to focus on to influence the office culture. The presentation spans from talent retention to project execution and showcases tools and best practices for work planning. It will be available shortly on AIAU and on my website. In operations, we may define the size and structure of the administrative team in terms of full-time employees, FTEs. And we also define initiatives that may take resource, time, and money to define processes, upgrade and implement software packages, and/or strategic hires. So if you just look on the left side, there's the technology HR side in particular that stands out besides the traditional operations side of also contracts and insurances, besides resource planning. So the operations-related Think Tank Tuesday event is called the Project Manager Edition, Profit Motive and the Business of Design, Unpacking KPIs, or key performance indicators. It provides an overview of what a firm leader needs to know about project and staff performance. The presentation spans from staff utilization to project execution and showcases tools and best practices for performance planning and performance tracking, including staffing. It will also be available shortly on AIAU and on my website. In finances, we track key KPIs, key performance indicators. What are the net and gross revenues? How much revenue per staff does the firm produce? What is the profit rate? What is the overhead and what is the break-even rate? To name a few amongst others KPIs. You can learn more about KPIs for firm leaders by watching my presentation called Profit Motive and the Business of Design, with a focus on firm basic finance terminology, the A&D firm's key performance indicators, and best practices for A&D firm financial management. You can follow the link here. So we looked at strategic planning into more detail. Now we zoom back into you are a leader and you have to tell your staff too, what are we doing? Because my intent is to give you the steps, how you not only define the 4 Ws, but also what you communicate with your staff. So this is not just a process that you do behind doors and keep that in your door cabinet. This is something you do share. You don't share the 4-year plan, strategic plan with your staff. However, these may be the top strategic goals for the next year that you can share with your staff. And also understand, you would give a big goal in each area. So in finance, this is an example, you may say, we maintain financial stability. In brand, you may say, we grow the Central California offices. In design, you may say, in design, you may say you cultivate sustainability presence. And in operations, you may say expand the leadership to a culture of inclusive leadership. And then honing in a level is you got to give some explanation. You cannot just say there's big goals without giving a sense of what you mean and how you do it. So these So this is the more detailed plan. I picked only one, the expand leadership to culture of inclusive leadership. So what does it mean? You infuse diversity and inclusion into the decision-making process. The strategic hire of an operations leader is part of it. The promotion of high-performing tech and administrative staff. Recruiting in schools with diverse student bodies is also a goal. And how do you measure that you achieve those goals? You plan to attract and retain the operations leader by mid-year. You add 2 associate principals, 2 senior associates, and 2 associates to the leadership team next year. And you announce that before the year is happening, not after it happens. You hire with DEI principles on all levels. So of course you have to define those so you can do that. And you define the job descriptions of principals, associate principals, and associates. So be aware, as soon as you expand the leadership team, you have to go through all these 4 W's again over and over to really include the brain trust of everybody that you bring into the leadership level again. So now we are at the outer ring of the 4 big questions, and it's dedicated to the who. So the who is about your action plan. Who is part of the implementation? And we will talk about teams and collaboration. We looked at today's A&D firm's org chart a few minutes ago. Again, there are 3 layers. The layers of staff that does the work, shown in blue, the layer that manages and supports, shown in green, and the layer that inspires and gets the work, shown in red. So on the red side, we had that before, it's the partners, principals, associate principals, senior associates, and associates. The manage and support team is typically the directors. It can be on the technical operations or administrative side, HR, IT, and also team leaders of the technical teams or of the administrative teams. How you call the team leader, is it a lead, is it a manager? That's your firm's choice. And then on the do side, it's on designer to job captain to architect on the technical side. Intern is missing. And on the administrative side, you look at IT, HR, accountant, a controller, executive assistant. These are not all the administrative positions that are possible. Marketing is in particular not even listed as a marketing coordinator or a manager. That can happen. It's an example of career tracks. But we talked about that for the internal team, it's very critical to lay out the roles and responsibilities and to create a career track for advancement and to clarify who is doing what. Now, no matter how big your firm is, you may need an external team on all 3 layers to complement your staff's skill set, or to simply be more effective, to be happier or more balanced. Now, here's a list of consultant types A&D firms often work with. On the inspire and get work layer, you may hire coaches or consultants for business strategy, brand, PR, marketing, communication, and others. On the manage and support level, you may hire a business manager as a consultant. And on the work getting done side, you may hire consulting technical staff for drafting, for 3D work, for BIM management, or QA/QC work, just to name a few. On the administrative side, you may hire consulting accounting staff or HR and IT for HR and IT management, and attorneys, insurance brokers. Again, this is not a complete list. In my experience, A&D firms of all sizes take advantage of adding external brain trust to augment their team's brain trust. Now, small business owners may think, well, I cannot afford hiring consultants for coaching and strategy or a business manager. Well, think of it this way. You hire experts in their respective field so you can dedicate more of your time inspiring and leading your teams. You can dedicate time to client services and to getting more work rather than mundane operations work that can be done by administrative level staff, for instance. Having answers ready for the big 4 W's is a team effort. I offered a quick dive into the areas of brand, practice, operations, and finance for A&D leaders and aspiring leaders. The why is at the core, and you knowing who you are and what keeps you motivated will anchor the outer rings. Now, please let me know what questions you have. I see one question. Thank you for listening, first of all. I see one question in the chat box. What are the big, can you walk us through how all these apply to firms of various sizes from small, medium to large? An example, a small business owner with, say, 5 staff might need a strategy consultant and a PR and a BD consultant to simply vet every year. This is the plan of what I pursue this year. This is how I grow my firm. These are the clients I want to pursue. They may hire a business manager to help them do the billing and such. A firm with 15 to 20 staff may have some administrative staff on full-time or part-time on its staff, but still will augment with most likely a strategy consultant and also a business consultant, business manager. The larger firms most likely will have a business manager on staff and a full administrative team, including marketing, but still on the strategy side will benefit from seeking outside support. The smaller the firm is, the less you have a chance to have somebody internal that you can talk about the challenges and the things that you need to take care of. So you will need these outside voices no matter which size firm you are. The next question is, what are the big stumbling blocks to a firm's fiscal health? It depends, going back to the profiles, some firms make the financial, the profitability of the firm a big goal and a top goal, and they may focus less on the design culture of the firm. So they deliver good services to the client in time, on budget, which would create a very healthy financial profile of the firm. However, they may not be as seen as a design or thought leader. Whereas other firms that, again, to go with the same few things that I just mentioned, that may focus more on the design culture of the firm, may put a lot of effort to create outstanding design and win awards, but they may put so much work into doing that work that the financial side of the firm is not as profitable as they would like to see or one would like to see. I'm wondering, these are the only 2 questions I have seen so far. If there are, I hope I did answer everybody's questions, and I hope I did give a good, oh, I'm sorry. If you feel like questions you have, there's one more. Do you have any recommendations for ways to go about communicating suggestions for changes within a medium-sized organization? Interesting. Yes. I always find it very rewarding when any change that you want to have in your firm is staff gets a sense before the change is happening as to A, what is it and why is it happening? And be as honest as possible as to why that change is necessary so they feel not blindsided about it. How to share that? Most likely in a big, preferably not just a staff meeting, like an all hands where everybody is showing up, and you tell them possibly in a longer session where you can source the thoughts of your staff beforehand as to what they think about that upcoming change. And they might give you suggestions that can be beneficial for the execution of that change. The next one, are there specific recommendations you would make for consultants for a sole practitioner? Which consultants do you think are most important for a sole practitioner? A sole practitioner, depending, it depends on the profile of the practitioner, to be honest as well. If it's somebody that is very successful in retaining and finding new work, very successful on the business development side, but maybe not as successful in managing its internal team, however the small that team is, that person might benefit from a business manager first. If it's a sole practitioner that is struggling with finding work or expanding its profile of clients, then I would suggest consider working with a brand or marketing or business development strategist. In any case, working with somebody like me as a strategist overall, even for a very limited time, is most likely very successful. Excuse me. Yeah, because having another voice, if, like I mentioned before that, you can exchange what challenges you have and what is going on within your firm is usually very helpful. The next question is, what personality test do you recommend to determine profiles of leadership? The ones I work with are the ones called from Positive Intelligence, and I don't have a link ready, but I will add it to the email going out from AIA San Francisco, link to those tests so you can find out what your positive intelligence profile is. And they give you actually some clues also by just following that link as to what it means. Or you can get back in touch with me, of course, and we can talk about that. Do you have recommendations for optimal design of the staff performance review process for strengthening firm culture and structure? I lean towards recommending a once a year performance review and keep it very abbreviated and not too detailed with like 20 questions. I've developed a performance review questionnaire that has 3 questions and a rating system associated that I find rather successful implemented. I know a lot of firms tend to go now to the quarterly reviews or even to ongoing kind of more feedback type meetings instead of reviews, which is fine with me. I do know, though, that in a way for HR reasons, it's always good to have a record of a rating at hand too. So I stick with the once a year review that has a rating that is also stays on record in the files of the employee. I see one more question. One question that I don't think it was answered. If I heard you correctly, you do not recommend sharing the 4-year plan with your staff. Why do you not recommend this? You can. It depends on the culture of your firm and how open you are. It gives often on the finance side detailed insight into your profitability. Not everybody's willing and able to share that with all staff. So you can, of course, share only the parts that you feel happy with or that you feel comfortable with. But it goes into very much into a lot of details, and sometimes it may even show a plan that is just hatching that you feel is sensitive with staff on the operation side, that you might promote somebody over somebody else. And that has to be approached carefully, how you release that information. But in general, I find it rewarding if firms are able to share as much information as possible with all staff. All right, I don't see any more. Is this form available was a question. Which form is that? If it's the HR review form, I am willing to add that as the review form. I can add that as well to the emails going out, so it becomes available to everybody. Okay, well, thank you very much. I will pass the microphone back to Annabelle, and I appreciate everybody taking time. And this is the last event of this year for me. I hope I see you in 2023. Thank you.
Oops. Well, thank you so much. This concludes today's program. Thank you, Elisabeth, for your wisdom for this morning. And thank you, the audience, for joining us today. We'd like to once again recognize and thank our 2022 AIA SF Sustaining Benefactors, as well as our 2022 AIA SF Sustaining Sponsors. We hope you'll join us this Thursday, October 6th, as we feature Fresh Brew, Housing Decarbonization, the Practicable Playbook Part 2, for a discussion on tackling zero-carbon multifamily housing, including case studies that shed light on the cost-benefit of electrification and broader social and community dimensions of decarbonization. Moderated by AIA SF Board President Paul Adamson, we'll be joined by Don Davies of Magnuson Clements Associates, Dirk Kessner with Walter P. Moore, and Mark Webster, Simpson, Gumpertz, and Hager. Be sure to keep us on your radars as we get closer to moving into our new space early next year to the ground floor of the landmark Halliday Building. This is an exciting milestone in the history of the American Institute of Architects San Francisco and the Center for Architecture and Design. We're eager to see this vision realized. This program has been recorded, and a link will be circulated to all registrants when that information becomes available. If you have additional questions and/or would like to get in touch with Elisabeth, please send an email to info@aiasf.org. We hope you join us on Thursday. Have a great week. Thanks again, Elisabeth.
Thank you.